Destiny Wagner, and I am from Southern Belize, from a very small town called Punta Gorda. And when this opportunity first came to me, I was very, not necessarily blindsided, because this is something right up my alley as Miss Earth, but I think it would fit perfectly with my platform. So I'm very happy to be here with everyone and get the chance to know each and every one of you, and to hear your thoughts on everything that we have going on thus far. So before we continue, I do want to introduce a good friend of mine who actually asked me to be a part of this movement, and it is Michael Esteban, and also Eric as well, who has played a huge part in the organization of the Belize chapter. We are here on behalf of really Minorities for Marijuana, which is a nonprofit, and they do amazing work, and we're so excited to be a part of the Belize chapter. So without further ado, I would definitely want to welcome these two gentlemen for everyone to give their intro and their cannabis story and share that with us.
Hi, good evening, Destiny.
Yes.
Yes, all right. Good evening, my name is Michael Estefan Jr. I decided to get involved in M4MM after our board chair, Eric Rain, shared an amazing work he has been doing in the States. And I decided to invest in Jamaica because we didn't have any opportunity in Belize. And we've been pushing it for over 7 years and looking forward to doing something home rather than outside. Moving on to our policy update. We're so excited in Belize that Belize is moving forward.
Hold on 1 second before we get to that. Real quick, Michael, we're going to go to the policy update in just one moment, but I want to give people a little bit of an update about intro to the organization so that they know who we are and everything. And then we'll go right back to you for the update. Thank you both, Michael and Destiny, for agreeing to pick up the flag and carry the mantle here for Minorities for Medical Marijuana. My name is Eric Range, for those of you who I haven't had the honor to meet, and I serve as the board chair for the organization. Minorities for Medical Marijuana was founded in 2016 in Orlando, Florida, and we are now the largest minority nonprofit in the United States in the cannabis industry, with 27 chapters throughout the United States and 4 international chapters, with Belize becoming our 4th international chapter and our first official to be registered in that country. So we are super excited to be here, to be a part of this movement, to be the ones to really help spearhead this movement here. To give folks a background about Minorities for Medical Marijuana and who we are, in 2016, when Roz McCarthy founded the organization, she did so as a non-consumer. She did so because at the time, the state of Florida was going through the process of pushing a ballot referendum in order to expand its medical marijuana program. But at the time, no one who was a person of color was a part of those discussions, were a part of leading the efforts to make sure that the same communities that bore the brunt for the war of drugs were the ones who were at the table and able to take advantage of the economic benefit. And so she joined forces with the folks who wrote the constitutional amendment change, who were pushing their ballot initiative here in Florida, or there in Florida. And she teamed up with them, and she activated and engaged Black and Hispanic communities throughout the state of Florida to get them on board with legalization, to get them behind the effort to legalize medical marijuana for the state of Florida. So when the organization founded, our focus initially was on medical marijuana, making sure that this plant was made available for patients who needed it, in particular, patients that came from Black and Brown communities in the state of Florida. Very quickly in 2016, we were successful in helping to get that ballot initiative passed. And in 2017, the organization at the time, just myself and Roz McCarthy and 2 others, we began to lobby the state of Florida as they began to lay the statutes and the laws surrounding the medical marijuana industry for the state of Florida. And we walked away from that with three major wins. We walked away from that getting Florida Agriculture and Mechanical University, a historically Black university, involved in hemp research, and they were previously not allowed to do so. But through our efforts, they were given the authority through the state to begin doing pilot hemp research. We were able to also get them a allocation for every $10 or for every medical marijuana card in the state of Florida, which costs $65 for every patient. $10 goes to Florida Agriculture and Mechanical University to do outreach and research. And so that was another major win that we were able to get intact. If we could, everybody, go ahead, if you could mute your mics for me. Mr. Brad, if we could have you go ahead and mute your mic for me, please. There we go. All right, or Jokesy, if you could mute the mics for me as well, please, thank you. But yeah, so that was something else we were able to get involved in. The last thing we were able to get involved was signed into law by the governor, required every license holder, everyone who would receive the license to cultivate and sell cannabis in the state of Florida, were required to develop a diversity plan and address diversity in their organization, from staffing to contracts, as well as equity in that organization. And so those three major wins were very early on in the organization. And again, at the time, we were a chapter of 2 people, or 2 to 5 people in one state. And between this years of 2017 and 2019, we grew from just 1 chapter in the state of Florida to about 18 chapters throughout the United States. We are a grassroots driven organization, meaning we find individuals like Michael and Destiny in the communities that we want to go into, and they become our leaders in that community. They become our eyes and ears. They become our voice for the organization. And so we then, between 2019 and 2022, expanded into an additional 10 states, bringing us to about, 9 states, bringing us to 27 states throughout the US, and again, the 4 international states. We focus a lot of our efforts on public policy. We have written laws in many of the states surrounding medical marijuana, surrounding adult use, or as some like to call it, recreational marijuana, cannabis industry, as well as industrial hemp industry. So we focus on public policy, lobbying our state level and our federal level executives or elected officials to make sure that we create laws that allow for the little guy, for small businesses, for communities, for where Hispanics and African Americans live, to be able to participate in the economic benefit. We also fight for patients and making sure that patients are gaining access, safe access to this plant for a number of ailments that they may be facing, and making sure that our aging populations are not left out of this conversation and that they're getting the education that they need to learn about how cannabis can be a potential addition to their treatment. We also focus on business development and making sure that minority businesses or small businesses are gaining access to contract opportunities within the cannabis industry. Everybody thinks about the grower, the cannabis grower, and the dispensary, but there are tons of other jobs and businesses that are needed for the cannabis industry in order to thrive. And so we want to make sure that you guys are positioning yourselves for those opportunities as well. So we have a tremendous amount of resources for small businesses to be able to learn about how to get into the industry, different opportunities, and we make direct connections to other cannabis operators for contracting opportunities. And so we have, and I think Nicole is on, our national director for our national policy programs. And I'm sure as we get to her a little bit later in the night, she'll talk a little bit about our program, so I won't go too far deep into that. But we do have several national programs in which we do the work that we are here to do, that we carry out the mission of the organization. And again, I'll give Nicole a few minutes later on to touch on a couple of those programs so that you guys can learn about them. but you can also go to our website and learn about those. Our mission here in Belize is to replicate the work that we have done in the United States here in the country of Belize, namely helping to move forward the conversation of legalization, but doing so in a way that protects Belizean citizens from foreign investment, doing so in a way that makes sure that our aging communities here in Belize are gaining access to information and safe access to the medicine, and making sure that all communities, whether it be cultural or religious, are being heard and considered in this process. So that is our mission as an organization, to be a voice for the community, to be a resource for the government in legalizing Belize in a way that is both smart and it makes it a win for the citizens in the country of Belize. I will pause there because I'm certain I can go on for much, much longer. But again, tonight is not about us as an organization. I did want to make sure that you guys got some a bit of an introduction to what we do as an organization and why we are here in Belize. But we want to hear from you all. We want to learn about your stories. We want to understand what it is that brought you here to this discussion and what you hope to see for Belize as well. So I'll turn it back over to Destiny as she kind of takes us through that to learn a little bit about you guys. But we will have some time at the end for more questions. And again, and we'll share information about how you can get involved as well. So Destiny, it's all yours.
Unmute. Okay, thank you, Eric, for telling everyone a little bit more about Minorities for Marijuana. It's such an amazing nonprofit organization, so I'm really happy to be a part of it. Up next, we do want to get the policy correct. We're going straight to the policy, so we'll pass it over to Michael Esteban, who has an update on what's currently happening right now in Belize regarding the legalization. You have to unmute.
Thank you, Destiny. We're so excited that Belize is moving forward towards legalization. We think that this makes sense from a health, economic, and cultural vantage point. For those of you who have not been following along, here's what you need to know about the legalization here in Belize. On March 15, the Cannabis and Industrial Hemp Control and Licensing Bill was introduced into legislation. We received 3 readings, but was not signed onto law due to national referendum being triggered by the church. On July 29th, the Deputy Prime Minister and the members of cabinet met with church leaders. 6 days later, Senator Bishop Moses Bengoshe expressed the position of the church leaders, and agreed to the postponement of the national referendum. The execution of the referendum has currently been paused, and the Governor General hasn't issued a writ. M4MM team, including our National Policy Director, our National Director of Social Economics, and our Director of our Cultural and Religious Exchange Program, have all been reviewing this bill and plan to submit a formal recommendation to the legislator, the Minister of New Growth Industries, and the Prime Minister. We want to be a resource for the government and ally for the communities of Belize. Stay tuned for more of Belize policy movement by becoming a member.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is real quick, even before we go into introductions, Destiny, I think this is a real quick place to let people know how you can reach out. Jodeci, if you could drop the link to the membership portal in here. We do have different levels of membership, and I'll go through those really quick so people understand how you can become a member. We do have a freemium membership. So if you just want to be a supporter, you just want to learn, you just want to, lend your voice to the movement, you can join what is our freemium membership, and it doesn't cost you anything, and you'll be able to gain access to resources and information into our monthly calls. We also have a Canapreneur level membership, which is $150. So if you are someone who wants to get even deeper involved in the industry, you want to start a business or you're in the process of starting a business, this is that membership for you so that you can gain even more insight. We have some content that is specific for you in that. And thank you, Jodeci. She's just dropped the link into that so you can go in and check that out. And if you are a small business, if you are a small business that is already operating and you want to see how your business can benefit by turning its attention to the industry, to the cannabis industry, that's a perfect membership for you. Or if you have a small business and you like to go after contracts in this space, again, that is another opportunity for you. The small business membership is $500. So those are all three ways that you can, as a individual or a small business, how you can get involved. And then we also have our corporate partnership. So if you are interested in that, you can definitely drop us an email, and we'll drop the email into the chat as well. You can shoot us an email and we can, follow up with you and get you our corporate deck and talk to you a little bit more about how our corporate partnerships work. But for those of you on this call, or those of you who are listening out there on social media, and you want to get involved with M4MM, in particular here in Belize, or if you just want to get involved with M4MM, period, this is the same process. But we will be able to connect you directly with the folks here on the ground in Belize once you go ahead and become a member. So that's the way to do it. Again, go on, click on that link, become a member today. Send it to your family and friends. Get them involved. Again, the base level membership is free. It doesn't cost you anything to get signed up, but we are more powerful in numbers, and the more people we have supporting our cause, the better it is for our movement. So turn it back to you, Destiny.
Yes, so thank you for the update, Michael. And now it's just going to be the brief introduction of our chapter leaders. I think I already did my introduction, but just to piggyback off of that and my cannabis story, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer a few years ago while I was in high school. And I saw the benefits of medicinal marijuana firsthand. And growing up in Belize and having my dad as a farmer, I understand the importance of it, especially in how it can be used in a positive light if used in moderation. So I'm super excited once again to be a part of this. And that is my cannabis story. And I'm sure we all have our own personal cannabis stories as well. But I just wanted to share a brief background about me. Michael, would you like to share your cannabis story?
Well, my dad, he had cancer as well. He had lymph and lung, and he took cannabis. He took a medicine, a scorpion medicine from Cuba named Vitatox. And he did all of that, and he's fine now. He beat the cancer. So I'm more looking at the Mayan and the Rasta infused medicine. So I would like to know more of do more studies in down south and see how we could make that happen and let everybody benefit from it, no?
Yeah, absolutely. In the States, the cultural groups have really been kind of locked out of it, out of the industry. You're starting to see the Native American tribes are starting to make pushes and inroads into the space. But for other groups, the Rastas and other cultural groups have primarily been locked out of the industry. But I know that Belize has such a rich cultural community, so many different cultures here, that it is going to be very important that from a legislative standpoint, that the laws are written in a way that, again, takes into account those cultural groups and the way that they use and practice, and to be able to allow for that. So again, our cultural and religious exchange program director has been looking at it. He is an ordained minister, so he has been looking at it from the lens of, his ministry, as well as his outreach and ambassadorship with thousands of cultures throughout the world. So again, we will be adding that lens to it, as well as, the business and the economic benefit as well. And both of you guys have, your stories about your family members and their, impact from a health standpoint. I think those are, such beautiful stories, and it's usually a part of the reason why a lot of people are brought to the industry. For me, my story is a little bit different, though. I personally was not brought to the cannabis industry because of anybody with a particular medical issue. In fact, I've been using cannabis for a long time and using it recreationally. I just enjoyed the benefit, the way that it made me feel. But when I got into the industry, I saw the economic value. I saw very early on, coming from the United States, I saw this as two different things. One, as the civil rights movement of our day. And if you guys know anything about U.S. history, the civil rights movement was, earth shattering for many. And it was all about restoring the rights of those who came from communities who had those rights taken away. And so when I think about cannabis and I think about the communities that bore the brunt of the war on drugs, it was Black and brown communities, the communities that I lived in and I came from. So I got into this industry because I wanted to, be a part of that social justice movement, making sure that this industry paid the debt that I felt that it owed to those communities. And the other side of it was, I saw this as the .com boom of our generation. I being a child of the 80s, I didn't grow up, I wasn't old enough to have created the first, Mac computer or any of those different things, right? So I wasn't around for that. But, ever so often industries, frontier industries come about. And this was one in the United States that I saw as a real opportunity for, again, people who come from Black and brown communities to really get in on the ground floor and be able to create generational wealth and rebuild their communities with. So that's what brought me to the cannabis industry. I have since learned so much about the plant. I now am wholeheartedly a believer of the medical and health benefits. But again, I want to be genuine and honest about what brought me to the industry, because I think that as you come to this industry from wherever you are, there's much to be learned, and there's much that I think will eventually change in your own mindset as well. So, but that was my story. That's my cannabis story.
Yeah, and we did get some, thank you, Eric, for sharing. We did get two more people that recently joined us at the bottom. So Mike, do you mind just giving them a quick brief of the policy and the updates of that, just so they can be caught up? You're on mute, Mike. You just have to, yeah, there you go.
All right. Yeah, well, right now we're still waiting for a referendum. They haven't called the referendum as yet. And we're working on getting a date for that.
Okay. Thank you. At this time, we definitely want to hear.
Real quick, Destiny. Mike, someone, I'm sitting here with a Belizean citizen, and he's asking, do we know if it's currently in the pipeline? I know you say that it's being, well, we're waiting on it, but
the church and the government of Belize they met and they decided they'll postpone it to a later date. That's it. Like, we don't know. They don't say, well, we'll postpone it till March or.
Okay. Did they give any reasons? Did they state publicly any reasons as to why? Yeah.
Because of the $5 million that they have to spend to do it, first of all. And the other thing is, I think, probably educating everyone. That's what they need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. The cost of holding an election, just letting people know that there's an election, that what the measure is being held, that type of deal, that all of that costs. And that's okay. So that's where we are.
They should save Belize $5 million and just legalize it, because you can't just like that. I mean, come on, I wouldn't waste my time or my money on that.
Yeah.
Well, that might be. Go ahead, Destiny.
Just in the meantime, is there anything that we can do to speed up the process of that?
Yeah, I think that. Go ahead.
So I guess we'll have a chance to introduce ourselves again. My name is Life Griffith. I'm a Belizean here in Atlanta. Prior to the legislation in Belize, as we all know, the British Honduras, which it was called at one time, is still under the British rule, under the laws that governs Belize. So when you're dealing with Belizeans and it relates to the so-called 10 milligrams that you're able to have in Belize, they still have no medical program per se for marijuana, cannabis. So the key, and I guess we'll go into it as we get further in our discussion. I was there 3 years ago teaching the Belizeans the difference between marijuana, cannabis, and hemp. Right now in Belize, CBD is legal. You can find CBD oil and plants in Cayo district and different areas of my homeland. But what's happening right now under the politics, religious politics, and the current administration and politics, the key, as the gentleman said, is education. Unfortunately, Belizeans, for all those who understand the class system of Belize, they do not teach the Belizean the proper education they need as it relates to entrepreneurship and also the reality of who they are really as sovereign citizens, right? So now, again, education for all Belizeans within this space is the most important factor moving forward. And because you have 6 districts in Belize, it is important that the bodies there, Destiny and a gentleman, and maybe myself coming back home, or you as well, since you're down in Stan Creek, need to really understand that as it pertains to the legal side of it, you may not see that no time soon. But if you can create an education forum in these districts, as it was, as I was doing when I was there, teaching them the responsibility that comes with this, you may have a better gauge, you may have a better fight to be able to position yourselves for legalization, especially in a Black market country, which we all know still exists in Belize, coming out of Mexico. And of course, that's a whole nother story. But I don't want to go too long-winded. I just wanted to say that education is the key to ensure that the Belizean people understand their true position as it relates to this industry and how they can get involved in the ground level and be able to facilitate more situations that will propagate us to have more legalization, especially if there's no medical program there. That's the biggest thing for Belizeans, to have a medical program there to help in the medical side before we even talk about recreation. So that would be my 2 cents.
We have had that conversation with some other stakeholders in regards to why not medical first and then recreational, as we have seen in the throughout the U.S. Has typically been the model. I think the Belize government at the time may have had a interest in trying to get Belize to be one of the first in the Caribbean to really move forward with this and really push things forward. So I do think, unlike what we have seen in the US, the potential for straight to recreational or adult use, as we like to use the term, is a possibility. In fact, that is what we are, that is the matter at hand, right? Present matter. But as I have shared with, Michael and others that we've been having conversations with, there's more than one way to skin this cat when it comes to legalization. We have seen this in the United States, both at the federal and the state level. As states have decided not to go down this path, there are things that you can do to reduce restrictions and so on that help move towards legalization. At the federal level, where you may not be able to get a sweeping bill for full legalization, perhaps we can look at research first, and we can work with the universities to begin to look at research. Perhaps we can look at a medical only bill first. These are things that we as an organization will be looking at. We will be making recommendations to the government about, and we will be educating the citizens about this so that they understand what their options are. Because again, I think what I have learned in my time in this space, while, at times money interest can influence very heavily the direction policies go, And at times, political gains can influence the direction in which policies can go. The biggest weapon that we can have, that we have had as an organization, has been our level of organization and our ability to reach those on the ground. The boots on the ground, the individuals whom these laws are going to impact, having them to stand with us will be our greatest weapon. And it won't be money. It won't be, having the loudest voice in the room. It'll be because we are bringing the best information and we're bringing the best ideas, and we have the support of the people behind us. That's the path forward that we have taken everywhere we have gone, and the path that we take here will be very similar.
Right. So one of the things I shared with the body is the interview that they did on me in Belize when I was home, and I talked about those things that we're talking about now. That was 3 years ago, before COVID-19. As you say, the biggest thing is the people. It's always going to be the people, specifically the young people, like Destiny and many others like her, who can create that new area of opportunity, and to understand how they play a very intricate part of change when it comes to the new leadership of Belize. It's not the older people. This is nothing to disrespect them, but they come from an old way of thinking. And now today in Belize, we need new thinkers in a creativity type of format that will allow the young people to take and stand and take their place as it relates to the new ideal of Belize, which is the youth, bottom line. That's just my take as a Belizean, you know what I mean, and what needs to happen.
I definitely 100% agree with you there. And thank you for sharing, Life. At this point, I do want to open up the floor to all of our viewers right now to see if they have any questions or concerns or want to share their thoughts. And I also want to remind everyone, if you click at the bottom of the screen, there is a link with information on how to join or be a part of the movement to legalize Belize. So at this time, if anyone has any questions, concerns, or thoughts, please feel free to unmute your mic and share them.
Hey, I'm joined here with a friend of mine here, so I'm gonna give him the mic first. We're gonna bring him over real quick. Here we go.
Good evening.
Hello. Good evening.
How's everyone this evening?
Or good night. Which one?
Bless.
I'm Thomas Thompson. I was born and raised in the United States. I've been living in Belize for the last 10 years. I just opened within the last year a pizza restaurant called Rosta's Pizza in Sandbike Village. My interest in getting involved in cannabis is not so much from a grower standpoint or anything like that. I'm thinking about, with my restaurant, how can that be something that can be infused into my restaurant business? Whether it's a place that you can come smoke, whether it's a place you can come and purchase. Those are the kind of things I'm pretty interested in right now. I am a user of the flower
medicine.
I enjoy it. That's how I first got started in it years ago when I was in school. That was my first experience with it. And at that time, a joint could put you in jail for 20 years. So it was a very, very difficult time at that time if you wanted to use the flower. But having said that, we've come a long ways from that, especially in the United States and other parts of the world. I'm kind of a world traveler. I've been in a lot of places, and there's a lot of places in the world that not only cannabis, other drugs are legalized. And contrary to a lot of people don't go mad off smoking weed or anything like that. I know when I was growing up, there was the government even put out a video. Some of you might have heard of it. Some of you might have seen it. It was a very provocative video about how you can go mad.
Reefer Madness.
Reefer Madness.
Yes, sir.
The government of the United States put that video out. I've seen it. It's crazy. The video is. I look at what's happening here as a very positive move toward taking some of the myths and some of the misconceptions about the use of marijuana that still exist even to today. But so in any way, this organization can help me out with that, with terms of my business and trying to infuse that into my business plan. It would be grateful, be helpful.
Mr. Thompson.
Just Thomas.
Just
Mr.
Thomas.
Thomas. Oh, just Thomas.
That was my dad, Mr. Thomas.
Yeah, okay, got it. So thank you for sharing your story with us tonight, Thomas. My name is Nicole Bafong, and I'm the National Program Director for M4MM. My father was a Ras, so I would love to come eat at Rasta Pizza when I come to Belize and visit. But you should kind of be paying attention to what's happening in Nevada right now as we roll out consumption lounges. Some of the concepts here and even some of the regulations here would be very, very beneficial for you to kind of understand how a market like Las Vegas is rolling those consumption lounges out, to kind of see, what you might want to put in regulation, what you might want to lobby for when it comes to creating that type of license for Belize. I mean, I know you all aren't there yet, but I live in Las Vegas. M4MM was instrumental in helping the state of Nevada with that social equity language that went into that bill. And now we've got 10 social equity licenses that have been selected for a provisional license here in Las Vegas or in the state of Nevada. And so we're looking at all different types of concepts for consumption lounges, not just somewhere you can go and smoke, obviously, but also where you might have massages that include topicals, or some type of wellness bar where you can actually get the plant juiced live, right? Cold pressed. Some other ways of consuming the plant, obviously infusing it in food. You might want to be considering and thinking about now, like how you would measure out a slice of pizza to determine how many milligrams of THC is in that slice of pizza, because that comes with the regulation. Like if you're serving people, you want to know, the consumer wants to know how much they're being served. And that way, the state who's regulating your business is, not accusing you of serving people or giving people too many milligrams. So you would have to figure that out, and that might be as simple as if maybe you've infused the cheese, or maybe you infuse some oil and you spread the oil over each slice of pizza that measures out to exactly 10 milligrams, something like that. I can't hear him. I can't hear you. Are you on mute, Eric?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Is anyone doing that? Is a law been enacted in Las Vegas? I guess is my first question.
Yes, sir.
The second question is anyone doing that with food in Las Vegas in a restaurant setting now?
Okay, so the law has been enacted. It was written and passed in 2021. It took them 1.5 years to issue out the licenses. So only about 30 days ago, the actual licenses were issued out. So right now in Las Vegas, or in the state of Nevada, there's only one operating consumption lounge. It is on Paiute tribe land. So they've been in operation since 2019. They're not serving infused foods like in a restaurant style, but they are serving infused edibles, which is what they serve inside of their dispensary. So it's a consumption lounge attached to a dispensary here in Las Vegas. And so they're just somewhere you can go and smoke, somewhere you can go and eat an edible or hit a dab. But there is nowhere in operation right now in Las Vegas that has this restaurant concept that you speak of, but they're coming. We expect them to be here within the next 12 months.
What I will also say, and thank you, Nicole, for hopping in there, man. It's so good to have you on, man. I appreciate you for joining. Mr. Thomas, one of the things I would also say is that actually, Jodeci or Nicole, if y'all could drop the link to the lookbook into the Social Cannabis Brands site. So this is another thing to give you guys some ideas of different products that can be made, that can be supported and sold and exported. So even beyond the pizza, I think for you, infusing the sauce. Mm-hmm. That's going to be the way to do it. And going back to Nicole's point, though, some of the things that we will have to look at in terms of the organization and the recommendations we provide to the legislator, is how to regulate that portion of it, right? Because we do want to be safe. We want to make sure that people are consuming safely. People know what's in products and so on. And I'll tell you, in Belize is not as hyper regulatory when it comes to labeling as they are in the US, right? Just in general. However, that doesn't mean that as an industry, we shouldn't be good stewards, if that makes sense. You know, the thought process in the US is that it's better we police ourselves than to have them come and police us, but yeah, those are things we can definitely, as an organization, as a chapter gets going, we can answer and have specific conversations about, well, what can I do? And we can do ask me anything, and you guys come up with your ideas, and we can give you ideas of how that business can fit. Or we can even go into other things where we spend some time on just, how do you set up, if you have an idea, how do you set up your business plan? All of these different things that we've done as an organization.
And as you develop your brand, Belize is a global destination. So you want to consider that the people that are going to be coming to Belize and visiting Rasta Pizza have visited other places where cannabis is legal. And so you want to make sure that you're introducing them to a market that is appeasing and familiar almost, by having, when you go to Amsterdam, you go to a cafe, you order a brownie, you order a cup of coffee, they're going to tell you how many milligrams is in that cup of coffee, right? And so you want to be able to be kind of like on a global standardized way of marketing and promoting your cannabis business and cannabis products, especially when we're talking about infused products. But that's all. That's my 2 cents.
Yes, thank you so much, Nicole, for sharing your knowledge with us. We really appreciate it. At this point, we'll take some more questions or any thoughts from any one of our other viewers. If you have any questions, please feel free to share them, unmute your mic.
Yeah, introduce yourself. We want to know who else is here.
And don't forget to click on the links in the chat. Nicole dropped a lot of links, and Jodeci as well. So if you want more information on Minorities for Marijuana or what we're currently working on in Belize, please feel free to join. We need as many members and hands on deck right now to really push this agenda for our country.
I have a question, Destiny, regarding the membership for the M4MM in Belize. I know that there's a certain membership price here in the States. Have you guys come up with a cost-effective membership plan? Because it's different, although the money is double, it's different for a lot of Belizeans who may or may not be able to afford some of the domesticated costs here. Is that already something that you have in place?
Life, I'll answer that question. No, we do not. And again, that isn't something that even registered on my radar until you just asked that question. But that is, and I'll say this as well. The name Minorities for Medical Marijuana, when we started the organization, again, 2 things. One, I do understand that the terminology minorities is not a thing in Belize, as well as I do understand that the term marijuana is an actual racist slur. When we started the organization, we wanted to be very clear and deliberate about the community we were speaking to, which were the African American and Hispanic communities in the US, which understood the terminology marijuana and minority. We have already been in conversations about keeping the same branding for the organization, the M4MM, but possibly coming up with a different moniker for what it stands for, specifically for Belize. So I'll say that to say that the organization is coming to Belize, and all of our resource, all of our our efforts are coming here. The name in which we do that under may be slightly different, but the cause and the mission is still the same.
Right. Okay.
Go ahead.
And actually, at this point too, our chapter in Belize is fairly small as well. So I think we definitely need to bring on some more people as leaders, not necessarily, not only as members, but leaders. So if anyone is interested in being a part of the team, we'll definitely need help with marketing, hosting some events, and
I can
everything
do
in
that.
between.
Destiny, send me your email. I'm doing the Atlanta Hemp Festival next month here. One of the,
Oh,
no
nice.
one's ever done it. So maybe that is something when I come, I'll be home soon anyway. But like I said,
Mhm.
let's get together. Send me your email along with Eric, and we'll go ahead and put something together. And I'll send that information to Eric so he can see what I'm doing here in Atlanta already.
Okay, perfect.
If I may, Buzz, do we have you as a member?
Well, that's a very interesting question that you asked, right? Stanley Atkins, who is the Georgia president for medical marijuana, we were working together earlier, and he's a veteran like myself. So I
Right.
thought that I was a member. I think I may be in your database, but I'm not sure. It's been a minute, to be quite honest. So if not, please, can you make sure that I'm involved with that? Very important.
Well, great news, everyone. We have launched our new membership portal that was in the chat. So I don't have you as a member life. So if you could please sign up for a member, I'd love to get the most up-to-date information and announcements out to you. I'm so excited to announce that the international chapter page on our website is being almost ready to be launched. So then there will be more of a presence in that marketing piece for Belize. So our branding and all of those pieces, excuse me, my dog loves her toys. We're definitely doing that in the background, getting it geared up. We're getting ready for you guys. So I know we got your email activated today, so more to come. And as we continue to grow Belize, please let us know how we can help out here. I know myself and Nicole are more than happy to provide any kind of service or resources that you guys need.
Thank you so much. Okay, at this time, I'll just be wrapping up the closing. And I want to thank everyone for joining
Hold
us
on
here
just
today.
a second. I'd like
Oh.
to say something.
Yes, please, please.
So I was invited by Eric. Eric, it's Denise. And so as you
I'm
guys,
sitting here trying to figure it out. Y'all not on camera, so I can't
who's
see
the
you.
gardenista? Right.
Okay.
So let me just give a little background about myself. I'm not sure how I appear, so I'm not going to turn the camera on. It's a block on. So anyway, so I I lived in the Placencia for like 6 months before COVID, had fallen in love with the country before. And so now I'm kind of coming back and forth as I had to reinvent myself. I have been a grower of cannabis for 8 years. I am a certified horticulturist. And so I have over 20 years almost growing experience just with plants. And I'm currently working on developing a radio station in Southern Belize, the whole region, both districts. So I just wanted to say, because you mentioned.
She didn't know that she's our communications director. I'm sorry, y'all. She didn't get that memo as of yet. But yeah.
So I just wanted to say, like, once as I'm developing that, I would love to be able to, in a very subtle way, if the agenda has not been passed and things like that, I would be more than willing to make very subtle suggestions in the programming of the radio station to sway people in a way that doesn't seem too overbearing, but make it seem very safe and helpful to everyone. So just to know, that's what I'm on board for, as well as growing in the country. So that's me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Denise. And yeah, we are going to need that expertise in crafting and good message, that is good for the masses.
Right. Will anyone else like to share or tell us their cannabis story? Even if you don't feel comfortable speaking, definitely please tap into the links below. We definitely want to keep you all informed and keep everyone up to date with what's currently happening in our beautiful Jewel. So make sure you guys tap in. At this time, then I would like to go ahead and
Hello,
wrap it up.
hello.
I think.
Okay, hi,
Jordan.
Jordan.
Unmuted.
Now you
Hello.
guys, now you guys are talking.
Every
I
time you
mean-
try to wrap it up, somebody's gonna
Yeah.
jump in.
It's okay, it's okay. We're happy to have you, Jordan. Can we have?
Yeah, thank you
yeah.
guys. Thank you guys for having me too. Hello, everyone. And I just wanted to say regarding the bill as it is and regarding the information that the gentleman, Mr. Griffith, was putting out. I mean, it's kind of the same sentiments that I share regarding a medical bill. And at the same time, I still think that Belize needs to set up a structure where they can facilitate even medical as opposed to, because we don't even have a lab structure set up. So, I feel like those are the things we need to focus on to get the bill through is rewrite the bill. The church is for medical. I've always said that. And, there's different information that you could download from the news clips and stuff that clearly states that the church to some extent supports a medical bill. And I always thought it was a little bit ambitious just to pursue adult use right off the bat, living in such a conservative community.
Correct.
With the same sentiments again, I feel like we need to get a different approach, because if we don't have a different approach, we're going to find ourselves in a situation where, we might tie it up in the courts,
Mhm.
and, the church is winning. The idea of the church is not for a referendum. Their idea was the referendum was a tool to achieve what they wanted to achieve, which was blocking adult use totally. It's not about a referendum.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I feel like doubling down on them again with the same bill. They're not focused on a referendum. They were happy to put the referendum on pause and shelf the bill because they're winning. Every day that referendum sits, they're winning. And that's in their view. So even when the referendum comes, you're going to see how much they muster a campaign against that bill and how many of their members are going to be coaxed into voting against that bill. So the fight is going to be on. I really feel like, and it could get nasty if you're trying to take it to court and trying to prove certain things where it's not effective or not. It could get nasty, and then you have a bill that is tied up in the court system. You can't really make a vote on it because of its status. So I really feel like the approach to this is getting laboratory situations where we can manage the testing so that we can accomplish all the things that the missus was talking about that's happening in Vegas. And at the same time, we could come up with some decent regulations that have some kind of social equity. And like Belize is only 400,000 people, huge, big ag. We don't need big ag. We have enough people in Belize to actually supply Belize and actually have enough to export without having big ag involved. So these are the angles that I think the government need to take. It's like, look at your population, look how much water is coming down that stream. Do you need big ag? Can this be a homegrown grassroots business for everyone? And that's all I really wanted to say. And as to the brethren from Same Bite, the food, the herb in the food is an amazing thing, and it's popular out here in Cali. So yeah.
Jordan, thank you for your comments. I just want to add to that, just for everyone to think about, everyone who is considering and understanding as Belize considers an adult use market, it's happening here in the United States. Big ag, that is not the way you want to go with the cannabis plant. And big ag allows for MSOs to come in and corporations to come in and take over this industry and grow cannabis that is harmful, that is not good, that is more dangerous than good for the body. It doesn't become medicine anymore. It becomes something that they're trying to make profit off of. So they're zapping it, they're radiating it just so that they can put it on the shelf so it can pass tests. The key to this industry and the key, and we have to think about this globally, is for us to keep alive the small craft grower. And the only people that can do that are the consumers. We have to be the ones that demand small craft grows, not these big, large, big ag, allowing them to come in and take over the industry. This plant is different. It's not like any other plant. It's not like any other agricultural crop. It is categorized in that because it's a crop, it is agriculture, but it is not like any other plant. And so I just want to put that into perspective for you all that are considering adult use legalization, and everybody wants, well, you think about, the way that an industry grows when it becomes corporate, then that's a good thing because then the industry is becoming mainstream. But you want to keep corporations out of this plant and growing this plant as much as we possibly can. And that is by supporting the small craft grower, making sure that they never eliminate home grow. That is another very important element to remember. And when we're building legislation, we want to make sure that home grow stays alive always.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
right now, those things are, and we have, like I said, a number of recommendations. We have been looking at the bill. We have been reviewing what is currently there. There's a lot that is not in the bill. You're mentioning home grow. I can tell you right now, it's not even mentioned in the bill. There's nothing that would allow for it. So that's something that we as an organization have to be able to make recommendations on. You're talking about something that, Nicole, I wholeheartedly believe in, and it came up on our last call in regards to protecting Belizean citizens. I love Jamaica. I'm married to a Jamaican woman, but Jamaica went about legalizing their industry, I believe, in the wrong way. They sold their industry to
The highest bidder
outside. So we're looking at those type of recommendations. But again, guys, I know we're going to have more of these policy conversations. We're going to get into it. Make sure you become a member. Make sure you stay tuned for more conversations. We'll have a next one probably next month. And we want to get more, and we'll probably pick a particular policy topic and talk specifically about that. But before we do end, real quick, I don't know if Naomi or anybody else just wanted to give a quick introduction of who you are, say your name and so on. We are going a little bit over time now, but I want to be fair to everybody and give everybody that space as well. So. Anybody else?
No, Roxanne,
Right.
just want to say hi. Clearly, they were all up in the camera. My dog.
Yeah. The doggies. All right, Nate, Destiny is back on you. We're going to go ahead and close it out. Folks, make sure y'all become members. Stay tuned.
Yeah, definitely. And Nicole, we definitely got to get you down here to Belize so you can host something for us. I think you're very knowledgeable on the subject, and we could really use the education here. So to everyone else, Eric, thanks again for the opportunity. Mike, thank you for introducing me to this, and everyone else who's a part of Minorities for Marijuana. Thank you for all that you do. This is such an amazing organization, and I'm looking forward to working with you all in the years to come. To everyone who is listening in, I don't know whether you guys are in the United States, in Belize, Mexico, Italy, it does not matter. Thank you for being interested in the conversation, and I hope that you all are able to click on the links that we provided in the chat and please sign up. The email is there as well. If you need to message us about anything, please feel free to do so, as we are a family now. So thank you all again for coming, and please click on the link to join.
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Yes.
Great job,
See you all.
Destiny.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Life.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Nicole.
And Stan, our director of hemp and technology, is on as well. So we're going to be talking, we're not even just talking about adult use. We're going to look at the hemp industry here in Belize as well, and looking at what resources we can bring to bear. So again, thank y'all. We'll see y'all next time.
All right. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, I gotta stop the recording.
Great job, Jodeci.
Great job, Nikki B.